All right, before we begin with this next page, one thing that I failed to do in the previous video was to create a component out of this footer. It's going to be reused on multiple pages, so we might as well create a component out of it. So make sure the only thing that is selected is just all the elements within the footer in the background itself. And we'll go ahead and create this component right here. And we'll name this, well, what we could do is, just so we have our original component in the design system under components, we'll go ahead right here and we'll place this as a footer. Let's replicate that. Footer right there. All right, that is good. And then we can come back to our design system in assets and we can search for footer. Oh, did we actually change the name? Let's go back real quickly. Nope. There we go. Change it there. Now we can go back to our desktop in assets, type in footer, and now we can drag it in. So here is an instance of the footer. Great. So now what we'll do is we'll replicate this, and we're going to focus on the add types page. So one thing we'll do right away is get rid of almost everything that we see here. All right, we'll get rid of that. And we're going to get rid of the subheadline. We don't need these, those hover-based elements. And we can deselect the background. We're going to keep the background here, but delete everything else. All right, so that is looking pretty good to me right there. One thing I might want to do is adjust this gradient here, push this up further. There we go. So it smooths out, it fades out a little bit more in a smooth fashion. So if we go back to our wireframe, we'll see this is the structure that we're going to recreate right here. So it says add types, but we don't necessarily have to use that headline. We can use something a little bit more creative. And then we're going to design basically these cards. And then once we design one, we replicate the rest, and quite easy. So we'll be able to knock out this entire page here in this video. So what we'll do is let's choose a good headline. We've got all the ads. All right. I think that's good right there. And we could still reuse some of these elements right here, these elements that just add texture and design. We could perhaps reuse or use different versions of them. That's completely fine too. So for instance, if we, if I go back to Figma, I'm gonna find this on my own personal file listings. Here it is. I'm gonna drag this back. And we can go back to shapes and we can use maybe this one right here. So let's put this right there. There we go. And now I can simply just paste this in. We can change the color again to our primary color. And we could put this right here. Now for this subpage, I might want to move this down here on desktop just a bit, get it away from that section there. I'm also going to paste in just this version right here. And of course, this is coming from one of these. And I think that's good right there. So, you know, these little tiny graphic design assets just adds color and interest to what would otherwise be, you know, a fairly plain presentation of the headline. So do you have to do it? You don't necessarily have to. All right. So what we could do is reuse this panel for our card-based panels that we're going to have here. So we're going to paste that in, and we're going to make sure it's there, right there. We can see on the right and left, we have it centered exactly where we want it. And then we can refer back to our wireframe, and we have these up here, these little labels. And so we've already designed some labels, and we want to reuse similar design patterns. So for instance, right here, we have these, and this as well. And so we'll simply just reuse that, and that way things are going to look a lot more consistent. So we're going to put this one, we'll just put this one right here for now. Of course, we're going to space things out differently. All right, so for the first one, it's going to say banners. That's the first ad type that this company offers. So we'll put ad type here, and we could get this inline right there on the same column. And then the next thing is a description. And then there's only one more, which is the ad specs right here. So you have to figure out, how wide should each of these columns be based on the content that resides within them. This is going to be a short column because we're just having a name. And then this is going to be a longer column, a wider column, because it has a description. And then over in ad specs, this is even short too. So this is going to consume most of the columns. So what we'll do here is we're going to put in using our paragraph text, and we'll see if those, the paragraph type style that we have, and we'll just start right here, drag this out somewhere right around here, and I'm going to change this to our paragraph style, and that's looking pretty good. Now, do we have a color that will work well here? Did we already use one there? Okay, we didn't, not for a large amount of text. So let's see if we have a fill, and we'll try this color. Pretty desaturated. How about this one? I think I like that one. Primary color 80 works well. And then what we can do is we'll right click and go to plugins and lorem ipsum. Make sure you're selected on that type layer first, and just hit auto generate. All right. And maybe we'll just break this up into 2 paragraphs. Something like that. And I actually may end up adjusting this type, but for now that's good. And then what we can do is add in the ad specs as well. So I'm going to duplicate this, and this is going to be 728x90. And what I'm going to do is probably just paste in the rest of these off screen, because you don't want to sit here watching me type all of these in, because I don't think we actually, we did specify it. Okay, so we already have them right there. So I'm just going to copy that, and we will paste that in, and then we can adjust the actual, we will go ahead and break this, and we can adjust this so that they're separated out more. And I'm also going to break this, and we're just going to choose white and make it bold. All right, so you want to make sure these are in line with each other. So we can hit Shift R for our rollers and get this leveled up easily. There we go, Shift R. And what I'm looking at now is near equal white space around everything, around on the inside of this container. So I'm moving this up so we have equal white space on the top and left, and also bottom here. And that's looking pretty good to me. I did mention I might want to adjust this. So what we could do is we could break this, and we could take down the amount of contrast. Now you don't want to go too far, because then you're not going to have enough contrast. But we could come up maybe around here, which is 70. And maybe even desaturate it a little bit further. And I think that looks pretty decent right there. All right, so looking at this again, we'll leave that at 70, and then we'll go ahead and add this to our styles. So we'll add primary color 70. And then we will go over here to our color section. So we're going to move this one down. All right, detach that. Now we're going to choose this over here. Primary color 70. Now we could also see there is a variation as well as not just lightness. There's also a difference between each one of these, for the most part, in the saturation as well. So we can make this black here. All right, going back to desktop design, what we can do now is we could take each one of these, make sure you don't select the background here. This is the only thing that should be selected. And we can create out of this a component. So we'll duplicate this and then duplicate it 2 more times because we have 4 different add types. And then we can come in here individually, of course, and change all of these as needed, influencers. And I will finish the rest, this information right here, on my own because it's pretty self-explanatory. The only thing left to do is to move up. We can move this up as well. And there we go. That is the add types page. So we're really working our way through. We can see everything feels consistent and looks consistent. And in the next lesson, we're going to create the start campaign layout as well.